So, how does this help us understand what honoring God is all about? Well, it helps us to remember that honoring God is not merely about what we do. Hey, now I know it's been just a little bit since I've posted anything. Sometimes life, with its ups and downs, kind of gets in the way of things. But anyway, I have been thinking about something, from our last video, the one entitled Art, Creativity, and Christian Faith. Now, in that video, I talked about how when we chose to give God our lives, we were also choosing to give our gift of creativity back to Him. For, our gift of creativity is one part of our entire life. And how, because of this, our art is truly not ours at all. And, so whatever creative thing we do, well, we need then to be doing it unto God, or, we could say for God, and not for anyone else. And that being true, no matter if we're getting paid for this or not. And we said something that has captivated my interest, my intrigue, my thought process. We said that we were to honor God with our use of this gift. And it is this last point that, I've devoted a lot of time to thinking about and what we're going to talk about in this episode. Here's the question. What does it mean to honor God with our creative gifts? How do we even honor God? All right. And yes, we are going to be looking at this through the lens of what it means to be a Christian. Now you may say, why? Well, I'll tell you. See, I don't think that we can fully honor God if we don't do this. For being a Christian now is to be a follower of Jesus. And this is a following that does involve a relationship with Him, first and foremost, that then leads to studentship from Him, that then leads to a life lived for Him based on everything we've learned. Never one or the other, but all three altogether always in harmony. It has to be this way. See, without learning and living out what is learned, there is no true actual relationship. Which, seems to be the essence of what James is talking about in his faith without works statements. Does it not? And without the relationship as the cornerstone, then all the learning and living out of lessons learned is merely cold religion. And we learn this from Jesus Himself when He criticizes the Pharisees who were masters at doing the religion without the relationship. See, the three must always be together. Again, relationship first, learning second, and living it out third. All right, so how does this help us understand what honoring God is all about? Well, it helps us to remember that honoring God is not merely about what we do. It is inseparably linked, tied into our relationship with God Himself. See, if we hold no honor for God Himself and, for our relationship with Him, well, simply put, we will have none to express by what we do. Now, before you go and say, huh? What? Take a breath. In through nose, out through mouth. And a sip or two of coffee won't hurt either. Especially if it's a good, yummy coffee. Okay, So, having done this, let's begin by taking a look at what the word honor actually means to see if this doesn't help clarify the issue for us. Now, I did some exploring, some spelunkering around, if you will, and I found that the verb to honor has a few different meanings, depending on how the word is used. However, I did find two very basic definitions that seem to be, well, involved in every other definition I could find. You could almost say that it was like that these two were the foundations that all the other definitions were built upon. The first one is to have great respect for someone, and the second is to publicly display that great respect and admiration for that individual, for someone else. So, here's a couple of questions for you. Do you have great respect for God? Do you have great respect for your relationship with Him? And is your creative expression a public display of great respect for God? Or, is it merely self-centered, a selfish co-opting of His great gift to express who you are? Interesting questions, are they not? Oh, and here's another one. If we have no respect for God, how can anything we do honestly be said to be a display or an expression of that respect? I know. Sounds kind of obvious to say so, but we cannot publicly display respect, for someone else if we have none to display. And we could also say that any such attempted display of respect, that we do not have, would indeed be hypocrisy, an acting out, if you will. And such play pretend, acting, pretending, this type of stuff, it's not respectful at all. And please note, I am not talking about choice of themes or subject matter or mediums at this point. I am talking about your motivation and your relationship with God. For it is from these that all the other choices flow. Also, because of this, I am also not about to give you a list of rules and guidelines and boundaries about things that are respectful to God. But, well, kind of like Paul does in Philippians 2:12, when he tells us to work out our salvation with fear and trembling. Well, what I'm going to suggest is that we need to work this stuff out with great respect and public displays of that great respect. To say it another way, work everything out, work all of this out for yourself, based upon your respect for God and of your respect for your relationship with Him. Now, how can you do this? Well, once again, we are back to our definition of what it means to be a Christian. A following of Jesus that involves a relationship with Him, leading to studentship from Him, leading to a life lived from everything learned. Relate, learn, live, repeat. It's a good place to start anyway. Now, with that said, I would like to suggest a good place to begin all of this, and that is by asking God Himself to help you cultivate respect for Him. Tell Him that you do love and respect Him, but that you also know that both of these are not exactly where they need to be just yet, and that you want to grow in them. And that you honestly admit that you need His help to do so. Another step is to then thank Him for this gift of creativity He's given you, and then officially, intentionally give it back to Him out of respect for Him. And then ask His guidance in being respectfully creative. And as importantly, to make you painfully aware if you ever start to be disrespectful. For there are many, many things that are disrespectful of God. And we truly do not want to be a part of or contribute to any of that, do we? So yeah, ask God to help you with this. He will. He's a big boy. And He does want to help. And then, have fun exploring and being creative. Now, at this point, you might be saying, okay, talk to God, me and God got it, but, shouldn't I also get input from others, like a pastor or a respected teacher? Yes, indeed. These can be most helpful. It is indeed input from others that is a tool God often uses to teach us things. And yet, remember, we are indeed told to test everything. So, take the insights of your pastor, teachers, good friends, those you respect, and bring those to God. The value of seeking insights is only truly gained as you then work through what is said. Work through those insights and make them your own. And to not merely use them as a crutch. A substitute for having to work things through yourself. For if you've not made insights your own, when you hear advice that is contrary to the one you've just heard, you may indeed find that the crutches that you have been relying on for support are knocked out from underneath you, and you then fall into disrespect. Also, please note, even as you may find all such insights to be rock solid and exactly what you needed to hear, you may also find them to be, incomplete answers for you. And you may find that their value is in the fact that they serve as a launching pad for further investigation, thought, and learning. And you may even find that they do not apply to you at all. Only you can decide. So, yes, seek this input from others, but then weigh it out, work it out. See, the important thing is to focus on God and your relationship with Him, and on allowing this to lead you to enough respect for God that you follow wherever He is leading you, so that His yeses become your yeses, and His no's become your no's. Respect is always intentional. Well, here ends the second video of the Art, Creativity, and Faith series. Let me know what you think. And if you have a suggestion, that will fit in this series, let me know what that is, and we'll talk about it. Well then, until next time, take it easy, take it slow, and make coffee into your cup always flow.